if you're somebody who tends to spend their money rather than save their money, I'm going to explain to you why when you like buy something as a solution, you don't stick with it and how to change that. So like we usually spend our money on something like because we're like, yeah, it's going to solve a problem that we have. And that's not like completely false. The problem for us spenders is that we tend to be people who have ADHD, and like taking the initiative to do the thing on our own, like for whatever reason, the solution when it's proposed to us, it's like, yeah, it's very clear in our mind. You're like, this makes sense. I can do this. But then when push comes to shove and you're like sitting in front of the solution on your own, you're like, no. It's almost like our brain becomes like a ball of yarn and we're like, I don't even know where to start. It's so confusing. It's like if someone scribbled on a board and you're looking at that and you're like, this made so much sense at one point and now it doesn't, like for whatever reason. And there's actually some neuroscience behind that. When you are anticipating a solution, you get dopamine from that. And ADHD, like, we don't have a lack of dopamine. We just need a fire hose of dopamine because of how our brain works. I'll go into that's a different video. But what happens when it comes to the implementation is that there's not the same amount of dopamine present, and we need a part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex. And we also get triggered because the implementation is scary, so it actually fires up our amygdala, which actually makes it harder to think. So it's like we have all these things working against us in that moment of implementation. It's one, that there's a lack of dopamine. The dopamine literally goes down. Two is that our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that we need to implement the solution and like, you know, get our working memory and organize things in steps, stops working. And the triple whammy is that our amygdala then takes over, which is our fight or flight response system. And that part of our brain is emotional. It's not a thinking part of our brain. And so it's like, what do we do then to like make the anticipation of the solution like as rewarding as the implementation of it? And the best solution that I have found is that you need an accountability buddy. The reason for this is because it creates safety in your brain. So that's going to get the blood to move away from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex, which is where we need it. It's that executive functioning. It's the planning for the future. It's about thinking things through in steps. Like that's the part of our brain we need online. So like having an accountability buddy, like is going to calm down the nervous system and allow the blood to flow to the prefrontal cortex. The other thing is, we need somebody else to hold the plan. We are not, like when we come to implementing a new process or system, we do not hold the plan in our brain. Like we can, but like we can't. Like I'm not saying you're not capable of doing it, but like it's really hard for us to do it. So you need somebody else or something else to hold the planning part. So that way you can relax and stay out of that fight or flight system. Okay? The third thing is you need dopamine. Okay, you need dopamine. How do you do that? One, you need feedback as soon as you get stuck on how to like fix the problem and keep going. Two, you need to make it fun. Make it fancy. Okay, put on a cute outfit, make it a thing, make it a date, go somewhere fun. Generate as much dopamine as you can around the event. You want to make it like a big deal, like a special occasion when you're going to do the implementation, because you need as much dopamine as possible. Also, add a little bit of urgency. Urgency you thrive on. You thrive on a little bit of chaos. So put a timestamp on this. Like you have to complete it by a certain amount of time. And like that, my friend, is the trifecta of how you actually generate enough dopamine and safety into the process so the implementation is just as rewarding as the anticipation.